Welcome to our today's video, and we are going to talk about store or branch registration, which can also be selling points in JiPOS version 3 and above. So how and where do you get this particular option to register our branches or our stores? If you come to the sidebar, that is after logging in, this configuration section, click that, and towards the end you will see stores. This is the page where you're going to find all the stores registered, but then you want to register a new store or a new branch or even a new selling point. So those three things you have to mark. It can be a store, it can be a branch, or it can be a selling point. Now you have got this form at the top, which you just click add, double click that. I'll select the parent organization. I'll select the organization, that is JiPOS ERP software, or your company name. I'll give you the store name or the branch name here. I'll say store X, and I'll give it a store code, that is X. Then I'll give it an address. I'll just say Nairobi as an example. Give it a name and email, info@jipos.co. Give it a phone, 0748 8288. Yeah. So that is just a dummy phone. Then we have got the mobile money details. Now this can be till number. If this is a selling point, then till number or pay bill number or in payment mode will be fine. So remember, if this is a selling point, then these particular details that we are adding here, the address, the email, the phone, the payment details, will appear in the thermal receipt or in the bill that you will send or give to the client. So that is something that you need to know. So this is where to set that for each and every selling point that is. So any other store which is not a selling point should not have them, because it's not necessary in that case. I will give it display on POS. What is the purpose of display on POS? Yes, there's a narrative here, or a narration, if and only if it is a selling point. That means if you want, or you're creating a selling point, if my store X or selling point X is a selling point and I want it to appear on the POS terminal, then I'll leave this as a yes. What do we mean by that? I'll just give you an illustration. We have got the main store and the restaurant store. Those particular stores have got their configurations here. Select on or display on POS, all of that is true. So if it is false, like this particular general market is false, you will not be able to see it here. And that is when you want your service team to have an option to select the store from which they want to sell. So we have got also this particular option, make a default selling point. If you have a default selling point, that means you don't want to give your service team an option to select the stores at the selling point. That means you don't want to give them this option of selecting main, restaurant, or store Y or store Z in this particular section. So you want them, whenever they log in, they just land into the default selling point. Maybe it's my main store or my main branch or my main restaurant, and they just continue making their sale directly. Then you'll have to define that as a default selling point. Then in accommodation, what is the purpose? There are scenarios or instances where you want this particular payment details and address and everything else to be different from the general business addresses, information, and payment details. And this especially is on the accommodation section, that is the front desk team, the receptionist team who are handling check-in, check-outs, and bookings. Then this will help you, or will come in handy. Just make it a yes or in accommodation, so the system will know whenever it's printing out any bill or any receipt from the front desk to pick these particular configurations you've added here. And once I'm okay with everything, I'll just hit save. And of course you can see my store X is already displayed here. Yes, that means it is a selection on POS. That is this particular column that you see here. Now, how do we edit these particular stores? You can just see the buttons here to edit, see the orders or delete. So that is how you're going to create your stores, your branches or your selling points in JiPOS version 3 and any higher version of JiPOS. Now, something that you have to know, these particular stores must be there in the system for us to do things like redistribution of stock. That means associating our items, the ones we registered, to these particular stores. It will help us to do things like requisition. It will help us to do movement of stock from one store to the other. It will help us to do direct purchases to the main stores or to any other stores. And it will also be the selling points in the system. That means we want that if you sell from the restaurant, then this particular stock gets deducted from the restaurant. If you sell from the main store, if you sell from the bar, if you sell from the main hardware or any other point, then this particular stocks needs to be deducted from this particular sections. So stores are very important, especially when if you're handling branches, you want this particular multi-store or multi-branch feature activated in JiPOS. So if you've got a Kisumu branch, if you've got a Tanzania branch, if someone is assigned to that particular store branch, then they are only going to see content or information related or associated with that specific branch. So those are that is the reason, or those are the reasons why we have to create stores. So thank you and stay tuned for our next videos.